Audiobook Memoirs of a Doctor, Part 2, page 31. Ode to Friends. HMSS, Class of 70. 40 years after leaving the city, Telok Intan by the sea. Participants came for a reunion involving many nations. Memories came flooding back, unable to hold the emotions back. Give me more songs and wines, karaoke, dances and dines, into the dead of the night. Thank you for the nostalgic magic of yesterday's once again. Chapter 2, Form 6 in Telok Intan. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. Quote unquote, A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. The next chapter of my life transported me to a small town called Telok Intan. I spent 2 years in Telok Intan from 1970 to 1971, pursuing an upper secondary education in the Holy Methodist Secondary School, HMSS. This was a 2-year course. The first year in lower form 6 and the second year in upper form 6. Telok Intan. Telok Intan is a medium-sized town in the lower Perak district of Perak with a total population of 128,179 in 2016. The town was first called Telok Mak Intan or Mak Bay, but was later changed to Telok Anson Bay. After a third name change in 1982, it is now known as Telok Intan or Diamond Bay. It is predominantly an agricultural township with many unique colonial buildings. Amongst these buildings is the famous Leaning Tower of Telok Intan, a pagoda-shaped building with a clock tower frontage, standing proudly at 25.5 meters and tilting ominously leftward. This is the Malaysian equivalent of the world-famous Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. In my first year at Telok Intan, I stayed with the family of my aunt, my mother's younger sister, which included my uncle, auntie, and my cousins. They provided me with meals and accommodation and took very good care of me. The next year, I shifted out to a homestay with another family, which was nearer to the school. The environment in my new place was more conducive to studies, as my other classmates were also staying in that area. I also needed the freedom, independence, and autonomy to be on my own. My time at HMSS. HMSS had a long history dating back to 1899. It was founded by the Reverend W.E. Hawley, who also founded the Anglo-Chinese School, Ipoh, in 1895. HMSS provided me with a good overall pre-university education. The teachers were very friendly, respectable, knowledgeable, helpful, and dedicated. About 10 of my classmates from the MES Tanjung Malim joined me in HMSS Telok Intan. Some female students from the convent school Telok Intan, as well as students from neighboring towns of Tapa, Bidor, and Songkai, also joined us in HMSS Telok Intan. My memories of Telok Intan are quite vague, as I don't remember very much of my time there. I was a school prefect and president of the Sixth Form Society. Among other things, we published monthly Sixth Form Society newsletters and yearly magazines. My best friend in Telok Intan was a student 1 year my junior. He was a top student from Bidor who joined HMSS in 1971. We were roommates in the same homestay. He was quite a joker, tall, fair, handsome, intelligent, a ladies' man. We did a lot of things together, printing the Sixth Form Society newsletter, playing games, cycling, listening to music, doing outdoor activities, and so on. By this time, I had passed the age for tops, marbles, catapult, fighting fish, kites, and spiders, the stuff that I did back in primary school. Real interaction sans social media. In those days, we did not have internet, mobile phones, tablets, email, WhatsApp, Google, and so forth. We directly communicated person to person and face to face. We had a lot more human interactions. Life was much simpler then and so carefree. We did not carry baggages like adults do. Our stoic philosophical motto was eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. We did not have to make prior appointment just to meet up. All meetings were more or less ad hoc and spontaneous. I still enjoyed playing the guitar on my own, but did not join any band. In fact, I did not join the Boy Scout movement in HMSS, opting instead to practice taekwondo in the evenings. I did play some games, but did not particularly excel in any sports or athletics. Nevertheless, I was a good and conscientious student. I did well in my studies and was one of the top students. Tragedy in 1979, tragedy in 1970. I remember one tragic incident in 1970 when one of my classmates committed suicide by hanging himself in his house. He suffered from depression, but did not seek medical advice. A few weeks earlier, he shared with me that he was a failure, unpopular, and did not excel in his studies. He even felt that no one liked him, as he was not voted into any prominent position in any society. This individual said that he envied my popularity and wished he could be in my shoes. He had a look of sadness and depression written all over his face. A few days before the incident, he was seen walking around the neighborhood carrying some ropes with him. The whole school was shocked when it happened. Nobody, including me, expected him to take his own life, even though all the telltale signs were there. On hindsight, I think that I should have been more caring and assisted him in seeking medical advice. Perhaps then the tragedy could have been averted, but it was too late. Gospel seed sown. There was a classmate who had become a Christian in HMSS Telok Intan. He was friendly, honest, caring, and warm, a good role model. He shared the gospel and the love of God with me. He invited me to Christian fellowship. I attended many of these meetings, enjoyed the sharing, friendship, and refreshment. The seed of the gospel was sown into my heart, even though I did not believe. At that time, my heart could be considered as an indifferent or a hardened heart. The message did not take root and did not grow. It was a 1 year in and 1 year out situation. Still, I am forever thankful for his friendship. Another one of my classmates developed schizophrenia in the second year. He became very religious and started telling everyone that he was Jesus Christ and had come to save the world. Over the next few months, he became more and more psychotic and could not continue his study. On hindsight, I should have taken him to seek medical advice, as schizophrenia is treatable and can be controlled. After some time, he left the school, and I did not know what happened to him after that. Jellyfish encounter. I love the annual nature study trips organized by a pleasant Chinese lady science teacher. In the second year or upper six, she took our class to an island resort called Pulau Sembilan for a nature study excursion. We spent 3 days and 2 nights there to study the fauna and flora of the island resort, in the island resort. The beach and the seaside were very beautiful and relaxing. All of us enjoyed the assignments, camaraderie, fellowship, and returned with great memories of the outings. I remember one of my legs getting stung by a jellyfish and becoming numb and swollen. Thankfully, the swelling subsided rather quickly and eventfully. Meeting my helpmate, I needed some extra income to pay for my homestay, so I thought of giving private tuition. Behind the scenes and without my knowledge, God answered my prayer in his unique and benevolent way. One day, a pleasant Chinese girl from the convent school approached me and asked whether I could give private home tuition to a Form 4 student. I said yes, and that was how I started to give tuition to the girl for 2 years. Little did I know that this girl would eventually become my wife. Hand of Providence. My time in Telok Intan culminated with me sitting for the higher school certificate examination. The result of this examination determines whether one will make it to university or not. I did very well in the examination and was accepted into the reputable medical school at the University of Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, where the late Professor Emeritus Tan Sri T.J. Danaraj was the dean. I was also awarded a Perak State Scholarship that paid all my tuition fees and cost of living allowances for the entire 5-year duration of my course from 1972 to 1977. The scholarship was indeed God sent. My parents were poor and would never have been able to finance my university education. Even though I was still a free thinker, God provided for me through the scholarship. God's providence was at work in my life again. I remembered that one of my interviewers for my scholarship interview was my late father's friend, who was a member of Parliament of Tanjung Malim, the late Mr. Lee Sek Fan. During the interview, he was very friendly, gentle, and immediately put me at ease. He asked very simple questions that I had no difficulty in answering. After the interview, he told me that I would be getting the scholarship and all I had to do was to wait for the result. After the announcement of the Form 6 examination results and awarding of the Perak State Scholarship, I had to wait 6 months before the University of Malaya semester started in July 1972. So I went to Ipoh and stayed with my sister and brother-in-law for several months. At this juncture, they had already become Christians for several years, a radical shift from their previous non-Christian background. When I was alone in the house, I regularly took the Bible and started reading the Gospel: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Although I was still a free thinker, the Bible spoke to me and left a deep impression in my heart. The seed of the Gospel was again sown into my heart. After leaving Telok Intan, I lost contact with my HMSS classmates until 2016, when some of us were reunited thanks to Facebook, Google, WhatsApp, email, and social media. We still communicate through WhatsApp and Facebook. Unfortunately, to this day, I still cannot trace many of my ex-HMSS schoolmates. Page